Hi everybody, welcome back to Take Me Home. I'm Laura Market, and behind me is some bamboo that my husband got me for our 5th wedding anniversary because he knows I love plants and he knows that I actually love Chinese traditional culture. At Take Me Home, we are going to be exploring traditional culture in different ways because these values actually help build strong families. And here on this episode, we have to talk about the differences between China and the CCP, because the CCP is something that took over China, that's hurt the Chinese people. It's hurting us around the world with this virus because it's the way they handle it and how they lied. And the person who I'm going to be talking with continuing today is Sarah, who is a journalist. She's a mom who lived in China and gave birth to a baby in China right this very soon before this virus hit, and now is safely living in Switzerland, is able to talk to us about this and has the heart to want to talk to us about this. So this is all real valuable information for us, and we're so glad she could come on Take Me Home. This is episode 2, part B. So there are previous there's a previous episode, part A, B, and C, and then there's a final one next, episode 2, part C. So, with no further ado, as I always like to say, here's Sarah with Take Me Home's China, or the CCP lied. See, I even make this mistake. There's a difference between China and CCP. CCP lied and people died. I wanted you to say something here, though, because you brought to my attention right before we came on to this interview that the West were told, because you're like, they're not wanting to say this, but they're actually, especially before they were kicked out of China recently, they were actually told how to report in China.
So obviously all the media in China is state-owned. So whatever is written has to be approved by the government. Now for foreign media that comes in, like into China, there is also some guidelines that they must follow in order to appease the Communist Party. So this is exactly what is given to foreign press when this is what is told to foreign press that they have to report on China about. Okay, China should be portrayed as a civilized country featuring a rich history, ethnic unity, and cultural diversity, and as an Eastern power with good government, a developed economy, cultural prosperity, national unity, and beautiful scenery. China should also be known as a responsible country that advocates peace and development, safeguards international fairness and justice, and makes a positive contribution to humanity. Why would you need to force people to portray your country as such if it wasn't really like that?
Because they're making our medicines. They're making, you know what I mean? So they have that hold on us. Until we separate ourselves from the Chinese Communist Party, I don't think our families are going to be safe.
No, but that's what's demanded of the foreign press when they come and visit China. So if they're going inside to review something, I wrote a piece about the New York Times. They came into China, went to one of the appalling public hospitals, and basically said, "Oh, look how bad capitalism is in China," despite going to a public hospital. So, I mean, but they have to come in, and the foreign press has to oblige by whatever the Communist Party tells them. The problem is that Western media in the West is still following these protocols despite not being in China. So why would they do that?
But I think it is also encouraged to be said outside of China too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the point I was making. When you're the foreign press that are inside China, that are allowed inside China, they have these rules that they have to follow as far as what they report. Now, the problem is that Western media outside China is also following these rules. Why? Why are you bending the knee to the Communist Party? Why are you reporting what they want you to report when you know that life is not like that there? And I'm not some particularly brilliant person. I just lived there, and I had to look around, and I read a couple books, and I listened to a few podcasts, and I looked around, and I saw the dysfunction. It was like, this is not what it is. Like, when you're going back to in 2008 when the Olympics were held there. I remember reporters were like, "Oh, wow, if this is what communism is, then I want to live under it." And I went to China the very next year. And I saw people like pooping in the streets. And I was like, okay, this is not the wonderful place that the media is portraying it.
Yeah, there were other reports that were saying how people were, I'm sorry, there was other people that were also reporting, though, although it wasn't in the mainstream media, about how people's houses were torn down, or maybe it was, but it was, wasn't reported heavily. Yeah, they were just reported how great it was. But like just to have the Olympics and stuff, and they didn't get any compensation.
Yeah, I believe that was, they were trying to build up sort of the stadiums, but they were basically taking homes and not compensating them. Now, I will say what I have from friends in China, because there's tons of development in China. They're always building infrastructure. There's always new roads, and travel in China is great, and it's cheap and it's efficient. I have heard from people inside China that they do justly compensate people when they're going to take their house. I mean, so from what I've heard from people that do live inside China, that if they need your land to build a road, that they do give you a fair market value. So that's just, and that's just from what I've heard from people. So perhaps what happened with the Olympics is kind of a one-off, and there was a lot of pushback. But just to be completely truthful about everything that I've heard and seen by China.
Thank you.
If I can just
speaking of honesty, the outside picture, that it's shiny on the outside, but kind of not so shiny on the inside. I think just to wrap things up.
Yes.
You were telling me about how this was like an honest picture from the China Daily that published this. Can you tell us about this photo?
My favorite picture that I've ever seen, and it's just a refrigerator inside the Wuhan lab. And what this is published by China Daily, so this is a state-run media company. The ceiling around the edge of the refrigerator is broken. And this is one of the refrigerators that is housing these deadly diseases that they're working on. Now, if you look at pictures of the Wuhan laboratory, it is a beautiful, sparkling clean, all glass building with perfectly manicured gardens surrounding it. And inside, they have a broken refrigerator housing deadly diseases. That is China in a nutshell. Beautiful on the outside, totally dysfunctional on the inside. Nothing works. Okay, it's all a farce. It's all saving face. It's pretending there's harmony, and nothing inside works. It is the perfect encapsulation of what life in China really is.
Oh my gosh. So it's like I'm picturing like these terrible narcissistic parents who are abusing their kids, this nasty, really, really nasty, terrible situation that needs to be taken care of right away. The kids are in big time trouble, and the parents assume to be this wonderful on the outside.
Yeah,
and
that's a perfect analogy.
It just can't go on. Yeah. It just can't go on. Thank you. Well, I mean, my heart just dropped again thinking that, but and like, injustice here is injustice everywhere by Martin Luther King. It just kind of fits the scenario here, I think, with the Chinese Communist Party's mishandling and lies, and how it's now spreading to our families. And I think to keep us safe in the future, is to acknowledge that this is, like you said, the CCP virus, and keep repeating that so it doesn't go down in history that there was a foreigner that did this or something like that, because that's what the Chinese Communist Party is saying, and to keep them held responsible.
Hey guys, I'm pretty sure you got some great information from all that. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And there is part C, so don't miss out on that. That's our final part on how the CCP lied and people died series with Sarah. Thanks.